Donald Trump's team not only, organized and helped organize the whole rally thing in the Capitol on January 6th of 2021, but they also were actually planning for all those people to go down to the Capitol and raise hell. They wanted to have a march to the Capitol. They wanted to intimidate Congress. And Rolling Stone has a lengthy article about this today, and it's really worth reading. And in this article, Scott Johnson explains that the goal was to make it look like they went down there on their own, was the phrase that Scott Johnson uses, to make it look like the march from the Trump rally to the Capitol and then the invasion of the Capitol and then trying to stop the vote and killing Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi. That was all spontaneous. And Trump kind of got ahead of his skis in this when he actually said, let's go down to, I'm going to march with you. We're going to go down there. But Johnston says that he overheard Mark Meadows. Now, Mark Meadows, by the way, is denying this. And in his book, Mark Meadows minimized this. He said that in his book it was just, quote, the actions of a handful of fanatics across town, end quote, which is an obvious lie. But hey, Mark Meadows lying? He was a Republican. He was a member of the Freedom Caucus. He was, Donald Trump picked him to be his chief of staff. Of course he lies. But anyhow, Mark Meadows was having a conversation, according to Johnston, who was there, with Katrina Pearson, Trump's national campaign spokesperson, talking with Kylie Creamer, the executive director of Women for America First, about plans to march to the Capitol. This is from the Rolling Stone. Johnston said the conversation was clearly audible to him since it took place on a speakerphone as he drove Creamer between the group's rallies in the final 3 days of 2020. He says, quote, they were very open about how there was going to be a march. Everyone knew there was going to be a march. Right. They even talked about getting a permit for a march in these phone call conversations that he overheard. This was Meadows, Pearson, and Creamer. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Kremer. I think maybe it's Creamer. But they talked about it. They decided against it, he said. He tells us in this Rolling Stone piece, because the security costs would be high. See, when you get a permit for a march in Washington, D.C., you have to pay for the security. And they didn't want to pay. And Trump certainly wasn't going to pay out of pocket. He never pays for anything. So, Trump is swearing that this thing was not pre-planned, the March on the Capitol. Meadows wrote in his book it wasn't pre-planned. But Representative Mo Brooks, who gave a speech at the rally that preceded it, revealed that there was going to be so much violence that he was going to wear body armor, which he did. Mo Brooks, member of Congress, Republican from Alabama, showed up to give a speech wearing armor plating under his coat, wearing a bulletproof vest. Now, and at that, he was standing behind bulletproof glass. You'll recall Trump didn't wear a bulletproof vest because he was standing behind inch-thick bulletproof glass, which is something you almost never see in these kinds of rallies and speeches. These guys were not only planning violence, they were hoping for violence, in my humble opinion. Johnson also revealed that the rally organizers were constantly using burner phones. Johnson told Rolling Stone, I know because I'm the one who bought the burner phones. So he's running down to Radio Shack or whatever and picking up burner phones for the Trump people, which raises a question. Why are they using burner phones? I think it's fairly clear. They were conducting an illegal activity. Now the question, as that person from Finland was pointing out over on Talking Points Memo, the whole world is watching. You had an attempted coup in the United States. Are you going to hold these guys accountable or not?